Hi there. I wanted to talk some more about self-defense, and this time I decided to, rather than to force you to look at my mug in front of a boring background all the time, I would just be using pictures. So hope you like that. And yeah, let's jump right into the topic. In many European countries and other places around the world, you have self defense laws that expect you to use the absolute minimum force necessary to stop an attack. If you use so called excessive force to defend against an attacker, you can be in trouble. Isn't this a very problematic thing to require from people? How exactly do you know what is the exact amount of force you need to apply to stop an attack? If you have a guy like this, for example, what will make him stop? If that guy just rushes at you, foaming from the mouth with anger, and clearly wants to hurt you severely, you don't know. The guy could have taken crack or whatever sort. You don't know. You don't know if he even feels any pain at that moment. You don't know what will be necessary. You just see this massive hulk of a guy who is obviously hell bent on doing you harm. How do you stop that, especially if you're physically a lot weaker? And of course, since the law typically doesn't allow you to carry weapons for self-defense, how are you going to deal with that? Well, you're just supposed to call the police. How does that help you? How does that help you if a raging bull of a guy rushes at you? You might not even get out your cell phone in time to call the police, let alone wait for them to arrive. And usually they take several minutes to arrive. Maybe they expect you to do something like place yourself in front of a brick wall, wait for that guy to charge you, and then sidestep in the last second so that he smashes his face into the wall or something. Yeah, very, very easy to do, isn't it? And even if you just utilize things in your environment, if there happens to be a 2x4 lying around or a lead pipe or whatever, the moment you pick that up and use that to defend yourself, it becomes an assault weapon. So if you defend yourself with some heavy, massive object that you just find lying around that you haven't been carrying, but that you just pick up and you just swing at the guy and you connect with his skull and you do some severe damage. Maybe it leaves the guy permanently injured, or maybe you even happen to kill him. You might be in serious trouble, because at that moment the lead pipe becomes an assault weapon and you may be charged with whatever the technicality is, but it won't be pretty. Because then you'd have to somehow prove that this was the minimum amount of force needed to stop the attack. How are you even supposed to deal with such an ambivalent, vague concept? There's no exact way of measuring it. There is no scale. There is no way of, estimating the guy's size and weight, and then, okay, I would need so and so many joules of power to deal with that, or so and so many foot-pounds of pressure. I mean, that's just ludicrous. You cannot calculate something like that, especially when you consider that in such a situation, you're pumping adrenaline and you will have a lot of difficulty even controlling your exact movements. Legal problems are definitely not on your mind at that point in time. What irritates me the most about this is that it is a law that basically protects criminals. The law is more concerned with making sure that the criminals emerge unharmed, and, it's the burden of the citizen to deal with that, to achieve that somehow without being crippled themselves in the process. Personally, I think that protecting your own life and potentially also that of those around you should be utmost priority. The state does not own your life, and so they shouldn't be able to decide what you may do to protect yourself. If you are attacked unlawfully, you should be allowed to do whatever you deem reasonable at that point to stop the attack. If that results in massive injury to the attacker, well, sad day for them. They crossed the line. They made the decision to assault a law-abiding citizen. I do realize that not every situation is clear-cut. You cannot always necessarily distinguish easily between criminal and law-abiding citizen. There are situations in which two individuals just get too agitated and the situation escalates, crime of passion, stuff like that. But there are also clear-cut cases. If somebody tries to rape you, you should be allowed to fight back ferociously. Be it pepper spray, batons, stun guns, knuckle dusters, knives, I don't care, whatever. Use what you have to protect yourself. In such cases, it should be obvious enough, and there should be no restriction on how much force you're allowed to use to defend yourself. Expecting people to simply roll over and take it while they wait for the police to arrive after the fact when the damage is already done, that is just immoral and irresponsible.